Greetings, everyone. Great morning and happy new month. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the latest episode of CLB Live, a show that is designed to inspire you to think creatively. My name is Christine L. Bowen, and I am the host of this show, and I am uber excited to be joined by a blockbuster mastermind panel this morning to discuss the power of thought. I'm really excited about this topic. It's very near and dear to my heart. The Create, Live, Be philosophy and mission is all wrapped up in this concept of the power of thought and how it can truly shape our reality and we can live life at its highest potential. So I'm truly excited to have you in the audience, all the viewers watching this morning. Thank you so much for carving out some time to be with us this morning. As you can see, it's a lot of us here in this green room. Well, it's no longer green if we're live, right? What color is it if it's live? I have to find that out. Maybe it's orange. But anyway, we're really excited to have you participate in the conversation this morning. And you can do so in different ways. First of all, I am totally in love with hashtags. Hashtags to me is a way to unify our social networks. So you can use the hashtag CLBLive and hashtag Power of Thought on your preferred platforms, whether it is Google+, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, which is my other love. Use those hashtags so we can find your comments and share those, whether it's during the show or post-show, because this conversation is an ongoing conversation. This is just the live part of the conversation, but after the show, you are more than welcome to share your thoughts as well. You can also participate by watching from different sources. If you'd like to invite some folks, it's not too late. You can invite them to watch via christinelbowen.com/CLBlive. You can also watch on Google+, christinelbowen.com/+CLBlive. I call Google+ the orchestra seats because that's exactly where we're sitting right now. You can also watch via YouTube at christinelbowen.com/CLBLiveYT for YouTube, okay? So today we're talking about the power of thought. And one of my favorite books, well, I have so many of them, but one of the really powerful books that I have read about the power of thought, besides Think and Grow Rich, is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And in that book, he says, thought allied fearlessly to purpose becomes creative force. So I want you to sit with that while we do our introductions, because I would like you all to participate in this conversation so we can incorporate those thoughts into our thoughts during this show. Now, let's first introduce our panel. And while we're doing that, I want you to grab your favorite cup, whatever may be in there. It's always 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Grab your favorite cup and just sit back and enjoy this discussion. And again, we look forward to your thoughts during this show. So I'm going to have the awesome pleasure of introducing some really, really dear divine connections of mine, some old, some new, but all of these individuals are going to add tremendously to this discussion. So without further ado, first let me introduce first and foremost our guest of honor today. They're all guests of honor, but we have a featured guest of honor, Dr. Manny St. Victor. Dr. Manny, how are you today?
I'm doing great, CLB. Happy Saturday.
Thank you, Dr. Manny. Happy Saturday and happy new month to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now tell me, what's in your cup, and give us a little 30-second about who you are.
I've got hot cocoa.
Ooh,
Hot
I like
cocoa in
that.
the summer does something. Once you sweat, it's fantastic, you know? So I'm a masochist, I guess. I'm working on Break the Cage MD. We just recently pushed out the press releases. The mission for that is to help physicians connect with, I would say, reality, connect with themselves and connect emotionally with their audiences, whether it be the patients that come to see you, your family when you're not playing the doctor role, just basically returning to humanity.
Returning to humanity. Love that. We're going to stick a pin right there. Thank you for being here. let's move on. I'm going to go from my left to right, starting with Dave Moore from across the pond. How are you, Dave?
Hi, Christine. Hi, everybody. In my cup, I have a black Americano, which I made on my coffee machine, and that's about the 5th one I've had today. So I'm really ready for this conversation. I'm the creator of HPT Transformation. It's a seminar that we hold over 3 days, where you discover the person you were destined to be, and you realize that tomorrow really does belong to you.
I love that. First of all, yes, you should be pretty amped up with all that coffee. And Americano is one of my favorites. And I love what you just shared about our current reality. Love that. Thank you for being here, sir. Next,
My pleasure.
Yes, sir. Next, we have Gail Harris. How are you this morning, love?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here with you. Haven't seen you in a while, and to be here with everybody else. So I've got my Gatorade, and I've just got some plain old, good old-fashioned H2O in here that I'm gulping down.
Love it. That is power juice, by the way.
Okay. So I am a writer and an author, and the topic that I love writing about most is connecting in with our intuition and how it guides us in our life to be the best person that we could possibly be. It's definitely the power of thought, one aspect of the power of thought. And I've got 2 books, both on the topic of trusting your intuition. The first one is called Your Heart Knows the Answer, and it's a self-help. And my latest book is a memoir called Finding Zoe, and it's my co-author's memoir, and it just shows how a lot of people use their intuition, well, not just, but is how a lot of people use their intuition during a very difficult time in their life, and the miracle that happened as a result. So great to be here.
Great to have you. And yes, that your book, Your Heart Knows the Answer, is fantastic, and probably why you're here. Yeah, I really wanted you to be a part of this discussion, so thank you for being here. Next, we have my dearest Geo Boom, otherwise known as George Green. How are you, love?
Good morning. I am excellent and definitely caffeinated. This is Spanish roast. And I'm catching up with you, Dave. I'm only on cup number 2. I'm George E. Green. I'm the founder and creator, CEO of the Mindfulness Advantage and facilitator of the Advanced Mindful Warrior Training Program. I love our subject today, and I love having conversations with Dr. Manny. Mindfulness has been a central subject in my own personal development and growth and study, and when I had Manny on my show a few months back, I learned so much. So I'm here to really soak up as much information as possible. My philosophy is you possess 3 of the most powerful devices known to humankind: your heart, your mind, and your idea or vision. When we bring those 3 into alignment, there's only one outcome, and that's your absolute fulfillment. So glad to be on the playground with everybody.
Love it, George Green. Glad to have you on this playground with us. It wouldn't be fun without you, honey bunch.
Boom.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, boom. Next, we have the lovely Eva Ignatovic. She asked me not to pronounce her last name, but I just did. Welcome, honey.
Thank you. You did it well. Excellent, I have to say. Well, I am what every panel of this kind must have, a logical, analytical mind, because, I've been in marketing for 15 years. My expertise and passion is in strategy and data and analytics, so you creative people look at thoughts and things in a different way, so you need someone who will keep you grounded a bit. And with all the things, that we're dealing today with the digital world and social networks and big data and all the buzz things, I can only say that I'm really happy to live in this era. It's perfect for me. And I'm happy to be here today, because this is awesome topic. And I do believe that we will start a conversation that will probably inspire and motivate many people to look things from a different perspective.
Amen. Thank you for being here. And yes, we are all born for this era. I love living in this era as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome, sweetheart. Next, we have one of my favorite peeps, Kit or Kritika Rangarajan. I tried, Kit. How are you?
I'm doing great. You did it well again. You're really good with last names, huh? Really complicated ones with 5 syllables. I'm Kitty. I'm a freelance writer. I'm fascinated by people, by stories, by words. Really, I'm fascinated by creativity, I think. And I firmly believe that creativity neither has a start date nor does it have an expiration date. You just have to choose to be creative, and you can choose any time. And I'm really glad to be part of this panel because Manny is, I'm such a big fan of his. I enjoy him as a person, as a family man, as a friend. He's a fascinating human being, and I've already actually started taking notes. So this is going to be a fun conversation. Thank you so much, Christine, for having me here.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And I love what you shared on creativity, but I'm going to skim over that until we get to that part so I don't forget about my other beautiful guests. Next, we have Paul Ramsey. Welcome, Paul. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm a little confused. I thought this was the Catterday hangout where we just show pictures of cats and stuff. I don't know if I'm this is so cool. No, seriously, thank you for having me here. I'm a board certified hypnotist and a personal coach. I wear a few different hats. I tour nationally, performing as a stage hypnotist. When I'm not touring, I see clients, and sometimes I use hypnosis with those clients, and sometimes I just use more traditional coaching methods. And I also train people who want to become hypnotists. I'm a certified instructor, so I like to say I have the best job in the world. This is my stuff. I love talking with people about this stuff, so I'm just really excited to be here. I had chai in my cup, but it didn't even make it past the green room, so I'm empty now. I'm a little sad.
Well, you're full. You're full of chai.
I am.
Thank you for being here, and it's kind of a Catterday hangout. My mug says, "Love me, love my cat." Don't know where he is, but he'll be moseying in here in a few. Thanks for being here. Last but certainly not least, we have a rock star in the house, William Rock. How are you, honey?
I am fantastic. Thank you again for inviting us all on the show. This is going to be fantastic. A great show. Good topic. In my glass is agua. So, morning before the heat starts actually, warming up outside. Anyhow, I'm William Rock. I am a conversion analytics specialist. I've been doing this since 1998. I've focused lately on algorithm updates and trying to inform the rest of the public on how they can actually, fix their websites and not have to worry about the big bad panda.
The big bad panda. Love it. Thank you so much for being here to all of you, to you, William, as well as all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I also want to acknowledge those of you in the audience, the viewers who are participating, the ones that I can see. If I don't mention your name, does not mean that you go unnoticed. Just know that. But I do want to mention that we have in our orchestra seats, aka the Google Plus event page, Jessica Duell. Hi there. Welcome. I'm jelly that you're meeting George Green today. But that's okay. I'll be there in spirit. Dave says it's 3:15 in the UK, alcohol permissible. My philosophy is it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. Okay. Welcome, Vivek. He's eating lunch over there in the UK as well. Welcome, Elaine Nieverding. Thank you for being here. Dwyna Peterson, mwah, I love you. Thank you for being here. James Cooper checked in. Awesomeness, as well as Regina Cooper. Love you both. Thank you for being here. I don't see any other names at this point, but thank you all for watching. I'm sure that as people wake up, they'll be filtering in. If you just tuned in, you're watching CLB Live, and we are discussing the power of thought today. And as you can see, we have a fantastic mastermind panel who are going to contribute tremendously to this conversation. Mindset is my passion. To me, it's everything, and everything originates from this little thing called thought. And we're going to kick off this conversation with our guest of honor, Dr. Manny St. Victor. And Dr. Manny, your quote that you shared with me for the promotion of this show, and I'll read it, says, "Your past thoughts are responsible for your current reality. Choose present thoughts with purpose and passion." So I'd like to unpack this along with the rest of the panel to get some insights, and I would say transfer some insights to the viewers on how we as entrepreneurs, whether we are veteran entrepreneurs, rising entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, everyone has this spirit, but something holds us back, and to me it links to this mindset. But before I allow you to share, I wanted to mention in your bio on breakthecagemd.com, it says here that you are a true polymath, that you are, let me find it, you're bringing much needed science to the fuzzy world of self-improvement. And this is what I love about you. You kind of combine art and science and that thought and kind of mash it together. So let's kick off this conversation. Viewers, you want to participate in this as well. So share your thoughts in the comment stream on this quote that I just shared from Dr. Manny. So Dr. Manny, I'm going to shift this over to you, and let's talk a little bit about your quote and wherever your heart wants to start with this.
Sure. The best place to start is, and I'm an empirical geek, so I'll go here with it, and then we'll jump off to where Paul has been telling me, to a happier place. What is a thought? A thought is when electricity in your body grabs two things floating around in your unconscious mind, slams them together, and makes meaning. It's like, oh, you know, apples and shoelaces. Huh. It's a sign, and you look around and you spot in the real world an apple near a shoelace, and you decide that today is Apple Shoelace Day. Now, we do this all day. We do this about 60,000 times a day. Where it becomes powerful is when two of those thoughts, two of those ideas, subconscious ideas, bump together, and the meaning that emerges, you identify with it. The idea then becomes a belief, and then it starts shaping your life, because enough of those form your story, your identity. Your words start to sound like it because it reemerges and it doesn't just drop back to the bottom. Your actions start to become part of it, and it becomes part of your narrative. And just through law of attraction, it attracts more of the same. It attracts more people. It attracts more similar thoughts. So to me, that's the core power of how a single thought that you choose to believe and you choose to embody becomes a brick along your road in the long term.
Okay, so thought in itself, in its rawest form, is energy. It's energetic, yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And when those thoughts collide, that's where it starts to form a belief and drive actions and behavior. Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. So let's expand this to the panel. Let's explore this power of thought from your perspective. What is thought from your perspective? Who would like to share first? I don't see anyone unmuted.
I'll dive in.
Okay, George.
Well, first, I love that Manny brought up the amazing fact that most of us have on average 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And those they people, the scientists, have determined that most of us on average are only fully present, awake, aware, and on purpose somewhere between 5% and 3% of our lives. The generative power of thought is when we start focusing our awareness on the fact that we're somnambulant for the most part. We've acclimated ourselves into a sleepwalking environment where we're phoning in our day, even at work, even when we're driving, and we start committing to upgrading our awareness and our presence. Even when you double that number from 3% to 6%, that's a 100% increase in presence, purpose, and awareness. And when you double that, everything looks shiny. You're present to miracles. You're present to how powerful you are in your clarity, in your certainty, in your targeting an outcome. This is the power of thought. And we need to bring science in there, because right now, in the mainstream, the fuzzy world of personal growth and or new thought, or the pink puffy bunny cloud of new ageism, we need the science. We need the linearity, because this, what we're talking about, is the dynamics of our neural physiology, and our unconsciousness represents our old neural substrate. When we start paying attention, the payoff at the bank up here is that we build a brand new neural substrate, and that's devoted, when we're practicing mindfulness, that's devoted to laser beam focus, coherence, certainty, clear intentions attached to clear outcomes. I'm caffeinated.
Yeah, Geo Boom. You just dropped the Geo Boom.
The Geo Bomb.
Right.
That cup.
Yeah, 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, correct?
Yes.
And 3 to 5% of us are awake and on purpose. So that leads me to my next thought is, how do we wake up? One of my favorite books of all time, it's number 2 actually, it's this one right here, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. This book right here, look at all of this, look at all of that sticky note. This book to me unpacks everything. People should be reading this before they read this one, Think and Grow Rich, which was written a year earlier. This was not released until 2011 for our time, I believe. It was too radical, according to Napoleon Hill's family. But in here he speaks about drifting, that most people are drifting. 98% of the population is drifting. So how do we break free from this, to borrow Paul's words, hypnotic state? How do we shift? How does someone become conscious and aware? To me, it sounds easier said than done. Dr. Manning?
Breathe. That's the answer. I'm a believer of, and you start off by spending 5 minutes in the morning, where when you first wake up, before you interact with the rest of the world, you reset your whole system. There's a thing called a cortisol awakening response in the morning, where if you have a crappy day planned, your cortisol shoots through the roof. If you have a weekend, you still get a little spike. You know, it starts the body. Now, if when you wake up, you start off by breathing for about 5 minutes at first, 10 or a greater amount, what you do is they found that one of your nostrils controls your entire parasympathetic response. Okay? That's how your body knows that you're in trouble. If you're hyperventilating, the body is like, oh, something's up. You know? Humans are the one creature that where our chest contraction is not connected to our ability for our heart to beat, but at the same time, when you take control of your breathing, you take control of your heart rate, you take control of your presence, you return to your inner signal. You know, if you're with someone, breathe together, and you'll find that you can walk. When you're walking with someone, your arms start to swing together. So if in the morning you sit around with your family and you take about 5 minutes and we're all breathing together, the rest of your day you've determined that you want to live your day intentionally. I'm controlling my day. I'm bringing my cortisol back down, where today I start off with the breathing, body check, let's go.
I love that. Breathing. That's my philosophy. Just breathe. Do we have feedback? Is that me?
If I can add to what Dr. Manny said, that the reality is also that when we engage in a conscious, rhythmic, and even spherical breath, the biomechanics of that breath will hijack the fight or flight cortisol response. So we have the ability just to focus on our breath and flip the switch from survival, which we're all steeped in, Doesn't matter how evolved or how wired you think you have things, we live in a world that's massively disconnected and distracted. We have an ability, even as Dr. Manny said, in 5 minutes' time to focus on our breath, which brings us back into our heart and our bodies, and pre-frame our entire day for paying attention, for coherence. The other thing is that rhythmic breath, conscious breath, creates a cascade of coherence events throughout the heart, the mind, and the body. The more we practice that, the more we go into the zone of excellence that is what some scientists call total body coherence. And that's the zone of excellence that masters and maestros and artists and champions spend their career cultivating. We can do it with our own breath starting right now this morning.
Indeed. Thank you for adding that, George. You know, it's fascinating that we are the most intelligent creatures on this planet. That's arguable. We have the ability to be. We have this. This is what distinguishes us from the other beasts of the earth, is that we have this power. We have the ability to use this thought, this energy, to shape our days or our moments. Let's just put it at moments. My heart is asking me to reach out to Paul. I mentioned hypnotic, and how does hypnosis tie into this, and why is that even necessary when it comes to thinking and mindset?
It's not. It's not. It's not. I mean, this is the funny thing. Like, I've devoted over a decade of my life to studying hypnotism and how it can help people. And if you really, you know, I have this thing about I always every day try to remind myself to be like intellectually honest, right? And so because what we tend to do is we get confirmation bias, right? Like, we sort of put all of our eggs into some kind of basket, like hypnosis helps people, and then we stop looking at other things, right? And so one of the things I remind myself of regularly is, if you've never gone to a hypnotist in your life, yet you have all of these assumptions and beliefs and things that you've integrated into your life, well, you didn't need hypnosis to get that way, so why do you need hypnosis to get not that way? You know what I mean? Like, it's a useful tool, and I, you know, that's why I'm using it and I love it. But I don't want people to think that, you know, that that hypnosis is a like absolutely necessary solution. What I end up studying a lot more, Christine, is not so much the hypnosis, because hypnosis is really just a way to increase focus. It's a narrowing of attention. The real work that gets done isn't so much from hypnosis as suggestion. So I spend a lot more time, and now we come back to what we're talking about today, right, is thinking about the power of thought, the power of suggestions. How do you adopt the right thoughts? How do you adopt the right language patterns? How do you practice? And Manny and I have talked about this a lot, about even the idea of creating rituals in your day, which Manny really said. You start every day with 5 minutes of breathing. Like, you're creating a ritual in your life. So sometimes it's about creating habits like breathing, but sometimes it's just creating the habit of thought. Mm-hmm. And I think that everyone would be well served to really do that on a regular basis, is what we're doing right now, is to just on a regular basis take time to think about the power of thought. Napoleon Hill, I mean, I reread Think and Grow Rich every year. You know, it's the only book that I reread every year. So I because it's amazing. I'm like, he could have wrote that yesterday, you know. So, but you know, I just think that that's bring it. Let's, you know, I don't want to go off into, we don't, folks. If you want to use hypnosis, great. We can talk about how to use hypnosis, but you don't have to. Let's stay focused on the power of thought. Amen to that. See, I'm loving you, Paul. I'm so glad you're here today. Thanks for your candor. Thanks. We're at the half-hour point already. That's the only thing about CLB Live. It goes by so fast. I want to welcome everyone. If you're just tuning in, this is CLB Live with Dr. Manny St. Victor and just an awesome Blockbuster Mastermind panel. We are dissecting, flipping, and sniffing the power of
thought. Right now, it's breaking down to thought is energy, and through breathing, just breathing, folks, it brings awareness to our center, as I call it. I like to refer to this process as meditation. So I want to acknowledge some of the folks in the audience. Teresa, thank you for joining, honey. And no, you're not late. You're right on time. You're a mom. I get it. I also want to bring up a couple of comments. Jessica Duell, the power of thought starts with energy, and it's up to us to be purposeful. Love that. That requires a lot of skills which can be learned. Using thought is a muscle, like learning to walk, ride a bike, or even be in a relationship. I absolutely agree with that, Jess. Thank you for sharing that. I also wanted to share Vivek. He says he does meditation for 45 minutes every day in the morning. You go. I do too. This involves controlled rhythmic breathing while I meditate. So going by what Dr. Manny said, probably I should do it first thing in the morning. At present, I do it after it got cut off. But thank you for sharing that thought, Vivek, and thank you all for your participation in the audience. Now that we're on this topic, I have two things I want to touch on a little bit. We have a real-life experience right here on the panel of someone who is sharing that they practice meditation and is being helped by someone else on this panel. So I'm going to ask William Rock to share his thoughts, and then I have another thought that I'm going to share after that.
Fantastic. Yeah, in the discussion over in the chat, one of the things that I was kind of discussing is some of the techniques that I've worked with Geo. And basically I still use those techniques today. And it was a long time ago when I worked with them on this and we started doing it. But here's the thing is I actually do, on my phone I have it set for 5:30 in the morning. And now it's just, I don't even need to know with my alarm. But I meditate for 35 to 45 minutes every morning, and then get my day going, and then I'll check my emails, do all those crazy things, and get prepared. But then before, I'll do the in-between breathing exercises, and just, I'll put my headphones on, and I'll listen to an audio track that that Geo had provided me that basically allows me to get my mind in that frame, that thought process of clearing your head. I mean, completely not even thinking, oh, I've got that email I've got to actually respond to. And it took me a while, like for the first 10 minutes even, to start to really get that out of my head. I'm still thinking, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. But after a while, it just became natural, and I can do it with or without the audio. And it's just fascinating for the fact that it's helped me through elements of chronic pain even. So a lot of you guys know that I suffer with CRPS, very debilitating disability, but at the same time as through those techniques, it does help me not only clear my mind and my thought and have better ideas to come out when I'm doing all my work, but at the same time as it helps me in my family life and everything else. So everything that I'm doing, I love to meditate, I love to breathe. I think that topic was fantastic and spot on.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your experience, William. It's so true. I've been practicing meditation for maybe 5 years, and it does the same for me as everyone's bringing out. To me, it is the answer to living life at its highest potential. Regina Cooper mentions here that she starts her day with prayer, and that keeps her focused and on purpose. I have to totally agree with her. Prayer and meditation for me is my winning combination. Eva, you had some thoughts that I would like you to share, so we can kind of springboard off of that.
Okay, well, working in marketing for a very long time connected me to a huge number of people from different reasons. And, usually we need to prepare people to be able to think in the right way so that we can provide a certain information or product information or anything. So, a long time ago, I was thinking about what is actually the first thing, because we think that we control our thoughts. But actually, our experiences are older than our thoughts because we grew up, when we are babies, when we are kids, we are shaped about, things that are happening around us. So we form our thoughts in a different way. And also, I'm not a physician, I'm not a doctor, but we all know that we are slaves to our hormones. So certain thoughts depend on how we feel at the particular time when we are having them. For example, I'm having my tea today, right now, and I'm feeling great. So my thoughts or thoughts that I have will have a completely different impact on me. And same thing goes for everyone else. And if I'm having a crappy morning, my tea will not be that good, even if it's the best that I can have, And the thoughts that I'm having at that time, I will probably have a negative, idea about them. I will maybe discard the good idea and go for something that is more irrational, more on an impulse. So there's more to power of thought and less control. And I think that the key to get more aware about them is not to follow the the equations. People are different, and for many, morning is a great way to connect with themselves. I know for many people, being aware more at night. They like to connect with themselves at night, then go to sleep, have that time stamp, and then wake up with fresh mind because they already have something in their system that went through checking, like a checking system that goes through sleep,
Yeah.
and subconscious. So I think that we really need to work hard to generate the real power of thought. And this time I'm talking about the positive power of thought, because there is a negative side too.
Can I just challenge that a little bit? Is that okay?
Sure.
I generally agree with everything that Eva just said, but I would just push out challenge and say, I would say I don't think we have to work really hard at it. That's the only thing I would sort of challenge is I think when you strip away some of the dysfunction that we acquire over the course of our lives, the limiting beliefs that we have, I think you can get to a place in which actually you can do it incredibly easy. But
that stripping part, sorry to interrupt, stripping part appears to be very, very difficult for many people. Limiting beliefs that we're stripping apart are actually difficult because we look a lot around us, looking at the systems where we live, our surrounding people, what they're going to think. Limiting beliefs are not just tied to us, they're tied to other people. So that's the hard work I meant, not really, when you discard all that, yes, you can dive in easily.
Yeah.
The part.
Yeah, this is where this is why I love this show, because the conversation always guides itself exactly where it's supposed to go. And this is where I want to transition. First, Dave Leopold, thank you for being here. Namaste to you as well. I want to talk a little bit more about this challenging part, because this is where I do observe that there are different points of view when it comes to fear and flight and resistance and things like this. I'm going to quote from Napoleon Hill, again, from Outwitting the Devil, where he says, one of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. So from my personal perspective, those who are connected with me on social networks know that I'm very vulnerable and open with my entrepreneurial journey. Not perfect. Yes, I meditate every day. Yes, I do my best to maintain clarity. However, I do struggle with resistance. And so I'm wondering, number one, is this why hypnosis is so valuable in the marketplace? My friend Teresa La Carraza is an EFT practitioner. She has helped me tremendously with removing obstacles and blocks, especially from way back in my past. So let's unpack this a little bit. The power of thought, we've already established what it is. We've already established that breathing and meditation and consciousness keeps us connected with our higher selves. But what is this thing called resistance and temporary defeat, and how do we overcome this to keep our thinking clear and on purpose?
So the question is, how do you think your story ends? That's it. If you believe that your story ends with you in a ditch somewhere, homeless, defeated, your kids hate you, nothing in your bank account, news articles about how you were such a huge failure, then when you land in those ditches, local minimi, you know, if you're looking algebraically, you're like, oh, I'm home. All right. That at the end of this, you will have helped people. You will have improved yourself. You will have left a legacy that your kids are proud of. You will have, you know, and Paul and I talk about this a lot, that your value is not where you are in the snapshot, but the accumulation of the experiences, the people you've influenced, the things that you've overcome that you can say, yo, that was really crappy. When you hit a particular point, if you reframe the situation so that you look back on the momentum that you've accumulated as your narrative, as your character, and then you look forward to where it is that you know you're going to get, because that's how your story ends, then that temporary setback is just something that you know later on is going to make that much better a story.
And I can go one step better too. Mandy, explain to everyone very quickly, like in 15 seconds, explain myelination.
Explain what?
Myelination.
Yeah. Myelination makes those thoughts bumping into each other we were talking about. When a bridge between two thoughts is myelinated, you're talking about 10,000 times faster that one thought fires off the other thought. So if you create a habit of myelinating your thoughts into your positive narrative, it becomes your identity. You know, you fall down, you're like, yeah, I fall down all the time. It's what I do. Pop up. That's the next step.
But I think that goes back to Christine's original question, is where does all this resistance come from? I think it gets myelinated, Christine. I think people start having experiences in which they focus on defeat, or they focus on challenge, or being not enough, and they actually create faster pathways in their brain that allow that resistance to act 10,000 times faster, because those pathways are heavily myelinated. They've grown really powerful. And so then, you know, we go all the way back to what we talked about at the beginning of, you know, the massive amount of stuff that's going on in our day, but the small percentage is, so then all the stuff that's going on in our day, the fastest pathways that some of us have developed are these negative ones that allow us to very quickly see what's not working in my life, or how I'm not good enough in my life, or because that's what we've, you know, that's the muscle we've built up. That's the pathway we've myelinated. And I think that's where a lot of the resistance comes from.
Indeed. You both hit it on the head for me. The quote that's been like ringing in my head as you both were speaking is Dr. Wayne Dyer. What we focus on expands. And it's really, how are we looking at resistance? Are we looking at it as defining who we are, or are we looking at it as an opportunity to grow? As Manny said, how does this shape our story? So I believe that resistance is necessary. It's a part of the process. It's part of life. It's part of being a human being, but it's how we deal with that resistance. Teresa had a comment here I wanted to bring up. When we have constant thoughts of defeat or negativity, EFT is an easy, safe way to remove those blockages. I've experienced that firsthand. And she had this other process, Be Set Free Fast. OMG, that thing was incredible. Hypnosis is another way to help you along during this journey. Thanks, T, for sharing that. Yeah, so I know Dave had a lot of comments on the side there. Dave, would you like to share on this topic of resistance and how we deal with it?
There we go. Hang on. Unfortunately, in my experience with the people that I I train, resistance persists. If we do something, it's like exercising. The more we do something, the easier it becomes. And unless we're shocked or unless we're jolted out of that mindset to see some other opportunity there, we spend the rest of our lives resisting and resisting things and pigeonholing or compartmentalizing ourselves into a box which we can never get out of. And also it's a box that other people don't want to open, don't want to take delivery of, you know, someone coming down your path with this box with you in it, and you won't answer the door because you don't want to engage with it. And it's unfortunate that we are conditioned over time, our lives, we build masks, we build barriers, and we don't allow things in. And the only way that I can get through to people, or we can get through to people in our seminars, is to break those barriers down. Because beneath all of that is the person they were destined to be. And they will never be the person they were destined to be while they carry all of this baggage around with them. It's unfortunate that we have a world where there's a lot of people, as we said earlier. I think George alluded to it as earlier about the percentage of people. So much autopilot. People spend their lives on autopilot. And it's true that if we allowed everybody in the world to say exactly what was on their mind right now, most people would be speechless. Because they have nothing on their mind. And we've all done it. We've all driven to work and have no recollection of the journey when we get there. We've all meant to go to the store, but instead we go the way that we always go every day because that's our automatic, that's our journey. I forgot to go and turn right. I forgot to take that left turn. It's unfortunate that we spend, as human beings, so much time with thousands and thousands of thoughts on our mind every second, and yet we don't listen. Yeah. And when we decipher those thoughts, it's tragic that somewhere someone has got the cure for cancer, and it resides in their thoughts, but they're not listening to them. That's how tragic it is. But what we do is we tend to listen, and we tend to gravitate towards things that we're comfortable with, that persist in our lives, and sometimes we create that persistence. A lot of people talk about hypnosis, and I have had people come to me that have been in hypnosis, but we're hypnotized hundreds, thousands of times a day. And if you've ever sat with somebody and they're looking at TV and you say, well, what do you think? They go, what about? And they haven't heard what you've said to them. They've been hypnotized by what's on TV. Hypnosis happens. But sometimes you don't have to go into it to get the answer. Sometimes you just have to become aware. And we have to become more consciously aware of our conscious awareness. And it's a loop that we have to break. Otherwise, we will just continue to spiral out of control.
Dave, definitely you've touched on a lot of great points, and it leads me to my next thought. It's already 10 minutes to 11. Don't ask me where the time goes. Manny says time only exists in relationships, so maybe that's where the time is, right? It leads me to my next thought. With this defeat, and Jess, I see your question. I'm going to transition, and then I'll pose your question to the group. There's so much great conversation happening in the comment stream. Thank you all for your participation. I definitely need to touch on this, though. For me, the one quote, which is from the Bible, that sticks out for me when it comes to resistance is be still and know. I find that we have so many thoughts as human beings, and as Dave said, we are hypnotized every single day based on what we're focusing on. And unfortunately, most people are drifting, so they're not focused on any specific thing, especially something of purpose, which means that whatever is coming into your consciousness becomes your reality. And unfortunately, that's more times negative than positive. So for me, being still and knowing is tapping into what I call the creative mindset. And so my selfie quote is, when we recognize that our reality begins with our thoughts, and we create our reality based on actions driven by those thoughts, then we can truly live our lives at the highest potential. We can perform at the highest potential. So I want to throw out to the group this concept of creativity, and how this ties into the power of thought. I believe it was James Allen that said, thought allied with purpose is creative force. Love that. So to me, the key to the power of thought and channeling it to our human experience so that we live life at its highest potential is to tap into this, or to tie it to purpose and passion. And that takes me back to your quote, Dr. Manny. So let's talk about this, please, for my indulgence, about creativity and how that links to the power of thought.
So I pulled up another geek bit, and I was joking with Paul about this last night. He's like, don't do the thing. But I won't do the thing. But I am going to pull up a study. When we're under threat, and threat is any type of pattern interrupt, anytime that, like when I'm in the shower and it's great to me and all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, it's hot. Anything that results in response in your brain, what they found is the pivot is what they call, it's a habit of checking in with your attributes and your values to make an actual decision, to make a choice. Now, once you've made a choice, you have a thing called choice-induced preference. Whatever it is that you choose, you're like, oh yeah, it's mine, I love it. The pivot is at the second that some sort of disturbance happens in your environment, to check inside and to check your values and to check your attributes. What are my resources? What am I good at? What do I love? Use that, and what is my purpose? What is my passion? What is my direction? And use that combination of your strength and your target is what your output should be based on. How's that, Paul?
That was good, buddy. That was nice.
Progress.